Legend Terrible here, and today we've got a rating your Doomstack video covering an extremely high effort Thoric Ironbrow Runesmith Doomstack. So what he's got is Thoric Ironbrow, 3 Thanes, one of them being the Ancestor hero, a Master Engineer, and an Organ Gun, and 14 Runesmiths. So the Organ Gun is just here for Siege Attacker, but it does have Stalk, thanks to this, so I don't need to, like, protect it. In this sort of situation here, you just keep it out of the way, keep it hidden, so it doesn't get killed. Alright, let's just jump into the battle here and see how it goes, because, yeah, he's got a bunch of different items on all of them that's going to help them out. They've all got Iron Warden tankards. This is primarily a strategy around using the Rune of Wrath and Ruin, so it's very much an anti-infantry army. Now, Rune of Wrath and Ruin does fire damage, and he's done a bunch of things that reduces fire resistances for the enemy. I think that all the Thanes, they have got a flammable attack to it, so that's going to be really helpful in giving the enemy some fire resistance weakness. And I think one of them has something, yeah, look, there's a passive that also reduces weakness to fire. So that's going to increase the damage of the Rune of Wrath and Ruin by 40%, which is pretty damn good. Good thing you're not going up against a bunch of Dragon Princes. It'd be rare to go up against something like that anyway. Now, he did say that the way to use this, and also this guy is supposed to stay out of the way as well, just keep them out of it, because they're not going to fight well. He said the way to use them is to keep them tight, which seems obvious to me. But he also said to rush in at them. Now, I don't think that that would actually be the best way to go about it if you want them to do well. I think if we can get them to fight us in a corner, that would be better, because they wouldn't be able to surround us quite so easily. It would just reduce the amount of damage that we take, because one of the problems with rune magic at the moment is very long cooldowns. So if they're doing reduced damage to us, it will buy us more time to do more rune magic. And if we go charging at them right at the front, then it leaves us opportunities for them to pick off our guys and kick them around, especially considering they've got dragons. So we could get separated. Once they're separated, it's very difficult to get them back together, just because they're going to get bullied a fair bit. So since there's an enemy army reinforcing over here, I'm going to try to stand as close as possible over here and just stay as tight as we can, and wait for them to come to us. So make sure these two here are not firing, and stay as far away from combat as possible. They've both got Stalk, so just move over there. It's also got Snipe, but we're here to focus on these guys. Alright, now Thoric is probably the tankiest of them, so trying to get their attention to begin with would be good. Looks like they're going to take a defensive position. If we just go cast over here, and if we hit them, they'll start coming at us. It's on very hard battle difficulty, right? Let me just confirm that. Yep. Casting the runes. He's also got a Rune of Spite on him, which makes... Well, of course, that's just part of his passive ability. So you could have 2 Rune of Spites, really. Come on. Just wait. Not the best at aiming this yet, because I haven't had a lot of experience with it. But even if we just do a little bit of damage, that'll trigger them to come at us.
Sharpish! On our way! Step to it!
So yeah, there's 4 armies of Dark Elves here. Absolutely tons of forces. No standard dwarf army is going to be able to beat this. So if these Runesmith army can handle it, then that would be pretty good. It's a lot of effort, though, to do this. Definitely not going to be able to do this in the early game.
What?
Could put them in control groups, but in all honesty, I don't find putting them in control groups to be, it's just unnecessary. Actually makes it messy, in my opinion. But you know, if you want to use control groups, you go right ahead. But I personally don't like control groups in Warhammer 2. The biggest thing I don't like about control groups is that if you put a unit in a control group, like this for example, and then click and drag just a little bit, it just takes it out of it. And then if you're in the heat of battle, you'd be like, where's my fucking control group? Oh wow, those Cold One chariots went down quick. got Shade shooting us, but Thorek has an ability that's increasing their missile resistance, so they shouldn't be doing much to us. So which one is this? Alt 3, okay. Actually, using that hotkey might be better. Okay, get back over here.
Moving out. Thorek Ironbrow. Casting the runes.
So now they're coming, that's good. Make sure we stay as close to the line here as possible. Kind of useful to know which ones can and can't do it. Thanks to the UI, that's really helpful. No, it's too far away. It's okay, we're not taking any real damage to them with the missiles, so it's fine. If you have a look at their missile resistance, it's, yeah, they're not going to do any damage to us.
Brungnes well, if you like. If I must.
It's okay. Stay moving around as much as possible, just so they're missing in addition to just not doing much damage. We're waiting for them to show up over here, but while we're here, because we're unlikely to break them with that much leadership, we're just waiting for their infantry to arrive.
Hurry! Wrath and ruin.
Too short range.
What? Yes.
So yeah, they're just in a bit of the skirmish phase at the moment, but they'll come out of it soon.
Good. Off we go.
And then they'll send the rest of their forces in, and that's when the Rune of Wrath and Rune will really kick in. Cool, they'll end up doing more damage to their own troops than to us. Of course, the Dark Conduit's not going to do a bloody thing. We've also got our abilities here, which maybe we should pop this down now. Might get them to wake up. So it's like, wake up, stupid Druki, get him over here.
Will of Iron.
I have to wait until this finishes casting before I can do. Nah, just wait.
Thorek Ironbrow. Agreed.
Yeah, his advice was to rush in, and I just disagree with that. I think we should stay close here. That way, when units rout, they run off the battlefield. Now, guys aren't going to rout. Don't have to worry about their Black Arc abilities. It's just not going to do anything to us. We got Rakarth coming in here. Main thing is stay close, stay nice and tight. We're one unit, essentially.
Thorek Ironbrow. Hearth and home. It is an order.
And Rakarth is going to go down really fucking quick. Later, Rakarth. That was really quick. Cool. Yeah, none of this stuff can do anything to us.
Thorek Ironbrow. Obey me. That'll do. It is an order. Thorek Ironbrow.
Okay, they're probably not affected by the fire weakness from that distance, but they're not coming at us yet. They're still pussyfooting around a little bit.
Vengeance.
Haven't quite decided to come at me properly yet.
Strike the runes.
Yeah, I think they're going to start coming now. Stay together, stay together. Everybody's got to stay close. One of the big weaknesses to rune magic that, well, more like nerfs to rune magic that occurred with the update is the nerf to Rune of Negation. Before it used to do an area of effect, so I could just do one cast to affect all of them. Now, since it only affects single unit, it's not really that useful anymore. So they significantly nerfed that. Which, Rune of Negation used to be awesome, and now it's just, like, it's okay, but it's just not that good now compared to what it used to be. I have to wait for this to finish casting before I use this, or else it will just cancel it. See? Cancels it. Yeah, he's got a Rune of Spite going. Yeah, he's getting loads of kills. But they're really pussyfooting around. So far, I don't think we've taken that much damage. Yeah, seems okay. That's what I want to see. All of you come at me. I don't really need to use any other rune except for Wrath and Ruin. Oh, you know how we can tell if it's available if this one here is lit up. So yeah, I just need to check the UI. Seems like we're getting a lot of frame loss. Which is making it difficult to click precisely. Need to get a better computer. Yes. Okay, we're getting a little bit separated. Everyone get closer over here. Over here. Actually, focus on the Hydra. Don't want to overcast it either. Just single cast it, I think it'd be best. Could also have something to do with the murderous prowess and the fact that there's quite a lot of units on the battlefield right now. Cool, just keep an eye out for it when it becomes available. Pop it down. Pop one of these down. And I don't think this will hurt us, so I'll pop it right in the middle. I can only do one at a time.
What? Oath and steel! The anvil's might!
Okay, all of them need to focus on that Hydra there. Yep, just keep an eye on it. When that light pops up, we know when to chuck down the Rune of Wrath and Ruin. And if we have a look at them, they are 40% weak to fire. Yep. Now I think the Rune of Wrath and Ruin does physical damage, because it doesn't say it does magic damage, but I'm not entirely sure about that. It might do magic damage. I mean, it should do magic damage, but I'm just not certain, because it doesn't say it does magic damage. It says it causes fire damage. So, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong about it being physical damage. You have to go into the game files to check. Alright, we got a lot of missile units coming in now. But if they all come in from one angle, they're going to blob up a fair bit, which will make them easy to shoot. Don't think we're going to even need to use that. Still got these guys over here, don't need to use them. Bounce of power is whatever. The Rune of Wrath and Ruin is not going to be particularly useful against all of these monsters, but that's when you use the buff spells. General rule of thumb with magic and abilities is use buffs against monsters, use damage spells against infantry. Damage spells against monsters just doesn't do very much. So dragons coming in, shall we put these down? and chuck down a Rune of Speed so that we increase our melee attack against them. But don't worry too much about Rune of Negation. I have to put one on all of them to do it. It's just a waste of time. He's got, oh, we got a bloody one of these. I didn't even look at that. Wasn't thinking about using their abilities. Wasn't really needed by the look of it. Wait for it to finish casting.
Right the runes! It is an order! No! Obey me! It is an order! The runes are cast! To the forge! Aye!
So far so good. I think a lot of monsters coming in now, so the Rune of Wrath Rune is not going to be too useful. If monsters starting to come in, that means it's at the end of their infantry reinforcements coming in. It's just these missile units. And they're having a hard time shooting us. And if they did shoot at us, they'll hit their own bloody monsters. One thing I really don't like about Clad Rakarth, whatever the fuck it's called, is it's really short range. And there's the army losses. Now there's just the other Black Ark captains to deal with.
Casting the runes.
Well, I can say this much with absolute certainty. A standard dwarf army would not have been able to handle that. So, we're at full strength. So that's very impressive.
Runes of smiting upon them. Slay the oath breakers. Renner!
Let's sort of them out. And we're at full strength. Let's have a look at how much regen was still left on them. So looking at this guy here, he had 1,000 left. Thorak had absolutely heaps. Most of that damage would have been because of the Rune of Spite.
Runes of spellbreaking.
Yeah, we could have taken on a fair bit more.
By the Layer's will.
I guess it's really hard to argue one way or another when it comes down to whether rune magic has been buffed or nerfed, because Rune of Wrath and Ruin is definitely good, but it's really an anti-infantry thing, whereas it's had buffs and nerfs, that's for sure. It's like better against anti-infantry stuff, but maybe not so good, not as good against anti-large stuff. But that did really well. And of course, we didn't even use 2 units from our army. So yeah, it'd be good on field battles and in siege battles. In field battles, just leave them out of the way. I guess the engineer's just there for extra campaign movement range and to give this one here extra ammo during sieges. Not that you would even really need it during a siege. Just get up close to the wall and just pop down heaps of Rune of Wrath and Ruin constantly. But yeah, looking at the damage values, they all did really well. Alright, so in terms of rating this, performance-wise, that was definitely a 10 out of 10 effort. They actually handled all of the monsters quite easily as well. Like, Rakarth went down really well. The fact they were able to stay really tight together and just, like, smash any single entities was really good. They had plenty of regen. We walked out of that with no damage. That was 4 full armies. But despite it being a 10 out of 10 in terms of, like, how much damage it can dish out and how well it can handle the battles, you got to keep in mind as well that the amount of time and effort needed to make this happen is pretty extreme. He would have needed absolutely tons of Oath Gold. I mean, he's got tons of Oath Gold, that's for sure. He's getting 2,000 a turn from buildings. That's pretty insane. So, I mean, turn 222. That's when he managed to essentially finish this. Like, I want to give it a 10 out of 10. And I think, in terms of effectiveness, it is a 10 out of 10. But in terms of, like, the amount of resource needed to make this, it's more like a 9 out of 10. Thoric Ironbrow, I think this is actually better than his Crawler Doomstack. It's just that this takes a lot longer to make, which is sometimes a problem for a lot of people. So I would rate it somewhere between 9 out of 10 and 10 out of 10, just because it does require an absurd amount of resources, but he did seem to manage to make it quite easily. So yeah, it was actually exceeded my expectations with that, because I've been a bit mixed thoughts with rune magic, but this, it did do a good job, and all the Rune of Wrath and Ruins absolutely blowing up the Dark Elves quite easily. And he covered all of his bases with this. Yeah, as long as he keeps the organ gun out of the way, then field battles just shouldn't be a problem. So that was all really good. You know, it can handle armor-piercing missiles just fine, can handle single entities okay, handles any kind of melee infantry just isn't going to be any sort of problem. Magic's not going to be a problem, debuffs aren't really going to be a problem, so it can pretty much handle any type of army. So yeah, I'm closer to leaning this towards 10 out of 10 than 9 out of 10, but, you know, I know that some people will be like, oh, I can't make this on turn 10, therefore 0 out of 10, sort of thing. It does take a lot of effort and energy to make this. You know, you're not just going to be able to get Thoric Ironbrow, get 14 Runesmiths and just run with this, because you got to get those, you got to get all that equipment, all the armor and resistances, and, I mean, all of this is providing huge debuffs. And of course the Iron Warden tank. And you know, when you reach like turn 150 and you've got a huge amount of passive Oath Gold coming in, then getting loads of Iron Warden tankards, which provides regen, is not going to be a problem. But getting to that point, you know, that might take a little while. Anyway, that's the end of this one. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this Runesmith Doomstack. I think it's pretty good. A lot of effort went into it. I really appreciate it. I think he perfected it. I really can't see any way that he could make this any better at all. He's got all of his bases covered. I think that worked really well. It was very easy to use. Definitely could have used it better, but I walked out of there with no damage, so I didn't need to do any better than I did. So if there's room for error, then that's good, because one of the things that makes a Doomstack good is if you don't use it well and still get a good result. It's all good to make a really complicated Doomstack that requires absolute perfect micro, but one screw up ruins the entire thing. But this one here, as long as you keep them all together, then you can really just sort of take your time with the abilities. And you don't have to get perfect cast or anything like that, because you've got plenty of time. And like I said, took out 4 full stacks there without any real issues. So that's pretty good. Anyway, it's the end of this one. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time, fuckers. Bye.